Welcome back my people to discussing Invincible Season 4. Just in case you missed last week's video, I talked about my predictions for episode 1 through 4 of the season dropping next year, and I talked about some improvements / changes I'd like to see from the comics regarding the story and animation. And today, we're going to be continuing that with episode 5 through to the finale of season 4. But before we get into this, I have to let you know I will be discussing comic book material, so please proceed with caution if you don't want any spoilers. But without further ado, let's get into it. So continuing from last video with the Reddit predictions, episode 5 will start off with Nolan and Alan recruiting Tech Jacket to fight against Viltrum. And listen, I'm excited for Tech Jacket to finally get some real screen time, because last season he was getting glazed left, right and center for killing that one Mark variant solo, and after that he just randomly showed up after Mark beat Conquest. Like, he really had about 4 scenes and is one of the most loved characters already. So to finally see him in real action and also find out more about him as a character is pretty hype. But after this, we have the Flaxen invasion, which when I first read it I was confused, because didn't a certain Viltrumite already solo these guys? That was one of the most hype moments in season 1, so why are they back for more? They should be dead. But anyways, the Guardians figure out how to deal with them again by destroying the tanks, and the Flaxens start rapidly aging. But then Robot is all like, we need to follow the Flaxens back to their dimension to stop them once and for all, which mind you, he decided to do on the spot, not telling anyone his plan before the battle or even during the battle, which is a pretty dumb thing to do because only he and Monster Girl went through the portal and the other Guardians stayed on Earth. If I was the Guardians, hell, I would have done the same thing too. You can't just expect them to jump through a portal with no hesitation. To be honest, I hope they change this interaction just a little bit, at least to fit in line with Robot as a character, as he's very methodical and thought out when it comes to fights. But what he did here was pretty dumb. After this, Mark and Eve say their goodbyes to each other in somewhat of a heartfelt conversation, because obviously Eve is very upset that Mark is gonna leave to go to space and she has no idea when he's gonna come back. But more importantly, she needs to tell Mark about her pregnancy, but she's way too scared to tell him right now. It's the reason her powers have been acting up lately, and that was even teased at the end of last season. So I know that they'll probably expand on this storyline somehow. But lastly for this episode, Mark, Nolan, Oliver and Tech Jacket get ready to leave with their course headed straight for Viltrum when their ship is suddenly attacked by none other than Conquest, Lucan and General Krieg. Mark is beyond shocked. That boy is confused and nobody blames him. Conquest should be dead, but here he is for round 2 talking about some, oh Mark, it's so good to see you. Here my man, why are you so excited? And I definitely think this will be the cliffhanger. I highly doubt that they'll actually start fighting. Just like last time with the cliffhanger for season 3 episode 7, it's better to leave us on the edge, you know? So starting off with episode 6 will be the rematch of Conquest and Mark, and it starts with Conquest taunting Mark, saying how he's so glad he gets to fight him again since he underestimated him the first time, and this time he won't be playing around, which is pretty ironic considering he's literally taunting Mark and Oliver right now, saying to Oliver that he's so excited his arm is healed so that he can break it again, and Oliver is eager to fight him, so he charges straight at him. But of course, like last time, he makes light work of Oliver and smacks him away. Fortunately enough though, Omni-Man is there to back his son, and he grabs Conquest, taking him away from Oliver, and Conquest is shocked to see Omni-Man is still alive since he was supposed to be executed. But Mark isn't gonna let his dad take this fight. He wants Conquest all to himself, and they get into it, and Mark's questioning Conquest like, how are you still alive? I literally watched you die and saw your dead body with my own eyes. So Conquest spills the beans, telling him that he woke up in an underground bunker. So Mark knows that it was Cecil who kept him alive, and I'm sure in this moment he was pissed at Cecil, because you and I saw what Mark went through to beat this man the first time. Why the hell would he keep him alive? And at the same time, Alan has joined the fight with Tech Jacket, Omni-Man and Oliver to fight Krieg and Lucan, who they're beating pretty badly until they get shot at by these Viltrumite foot soldier guy things. I don't even know who these guys are. Clearly they just want to be involved. I don't know who invited them. And their distraction caused Oliver to stop holding his breath, so he needs to fly over to the nearest planet for air. But Conquest catches eye of this and tries to fly after him before he can get to that planet. But Mark is not having that, and he grabs Conquest, taking him straight down to that planet where he holds him by the neck, and they're flying all over the place. Conquest is doing anything he can to get Mark off of him, and then he uses his signature move to pierce Mark straight through his stomach. But that isn't enough for Mark. He just won't let go, and finally he is able to strangle Conquest to death. And oh my days, what a fight this is gonna be when it gets animated, because seriously, Mark locked in an overpowered Conquest. Yes, he might be knocking at death's door right now, but come on, that was seriously impressive. He was not letting up for anything. And as for the rest of this episode, the Reddit prediction put some other stuff regarding Eve's pregnancy and Debbie and Paul having a fight, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't see them putting that in this episode. For one, I feel like there's enough content within this fight that it could take up the whole episode, but more importantly, I feel like because this fight is so intense, if it takes random breaks to cut back to Earth and go over side plots with Debbie and Eve, it would kind of take away from the stakes of the fight. I know they've done this before with season 2 episode 4, but that fight isn't nearly as important as this one, so I think they'll be able to structure this episode similar to the season 3 finale. But moving on to episode 7, Mark has to recover after that fight, so Omni-Man bandages him up so that his self-healing can activate, and in the meantime, Oliver and Omni-Man have some bonding time, because it's going to be a long time before Mark is fully healed and ready to fight again. So what better time for father-son bonding than this? And I also think this episode is going to cover other stories on Earth, because this episode compared to 6 and the finale will be much more slow-paced, as there is a time skip that has to happen with Mark's healing. So any plot lines with Eve or Debbie will probably happen here, but more importantly is what's going on with the Coalition, because Alan and Tech Jacket need to return to discuss some stuff with Thedas regarding their plans to invade Viltrum, but at the same time, Viltrum are planning their invasion of the Coalition because they want to catch them off guard while Omni-Man, Mark, and Oliver are missing. Now, I don't know how long the time skip really is, but by the time Mark wakes up, he's already got a full beard, and so does Omni-Man. So in real time, it was probably like months, but in the show, Mark should be fully healed halfway through the episode, I reckon, because there's a lot to cover regarding the stuff on Telestria, from the multiple fights, to the Graysons returning to battle, to the betrayal by this guy. It's a lot to get through, but I don't want to spend too much time on that, as episode 8, the finale, is going to be so intense, and this Reddit prediction has a lot inside it, covering issues 75, 76, and 77. 3 issues in one episode is kinda crazy. I don't know if they've done that before, but it definitely is possible, since these 3 issues are basically just one big fight. It's not that far-fetched to imagine they'll all get animated in the same episode. But starting with issue 75, where the squad gets suited and booted to go straight to Viltrum, prepared to destroy their planet. Look at the aura in this pic. These guys are ready for war, so they fly over there, but when they get there, they realize how outnumbered they are, because there's about 30 Viltrumites ready to fight, and they've only got a team of 8. But fortunately enough, Space Racer pulls up with the Ragnars and his Infinity Ray, starting the battle off by blasting this one Viltrumite and releasing the Ragnars to chomp this Viltrumite's head off. Then Tech Jacket starts fighting some other Viltrumite, who Alan just pops with one bang, and again to this other Viltrumite. And I'm not gonna lie, they're making this fight look kinda easy, like the Viltrumites are really not a threat right now. But Thrag is just watching the whole time, because he knows this is nothing to be afraid of. Those who die were weak anyways, and it's his time to shine. So he gets involved in the fight when Mark charges straight at him, and he just gets smacked like a fly. Then Oliver, as per usual, rushes in to back his brother. W-mans, but he pays a heavy price and gets his arm ripped straight off. Thrag is really like that. He wastes no time at all, and it makes me question, why did nobody tell Mark and Oliver who this man is? This is Thrag. They can't just be messing with him like he's some average Viltrumite. And Mark is all like, you killed my brother, how could you? And he starts unleashing every single punch on Thrag, but my guy is standing there borderline unfazed. At the same time though, Space Racer is getting ready to fire the Infinity Ray straight through Viltrum's core to ensure it blows up. So he's lining up his shot and he fires, and the team follow the explosion, watching as the planet explodes. And this panel is very tough, but was it really necessary for them to follow the explosion to the other side? I think these guys just wanted the bonus aura. But even though Viltrum has blown up, the fight is not over, because Thrag is crying for his planet. Who would have thought this stone cold, always serious, no smiling guy could show some emotion? And now he is pissed. He rushes straight at Thedas and rips his head clean off of his neck, crushing it in the process. Alan cannot believe his eyes, and neither can I, and he has the audacity to say, "You are all next." Oh my days, these guys are finished. And the first person he went after was Mark. He's tossing him, smacking him around like he genuinely has Mark looking crazy. Look at his face. Then Omni-Man tries to fight Thrag, but he gets handled with low effort, while Mark is still over there, holding his head in agony. Even Battle Beast, who is going to be Thrag's toughest match, gets dealt with like it's nothing. Genuinely, what are they feeding this guy that's allowing him to put belt to ass so easily? At the same time though, Alan is getting jumped by 5 Viltrumites. That's crazy work. They did not give my boy the decency of a 1v1 because they know he'd smoke them. Fortunately enough though, Space Racer, who is the MVP of this day, I'm not gonna lie, grabs Alan and Tech Jacket, blasts those Viltrumites at the same time and dips. But unfortunately, he left Omni-Man and Mark to fight Thrag, and these guys are looking at each other like, yeah, we're cooked, which is exactly what happens, because Thrag chokes them both at the same time. Omni-Man dead ass thought this was his last moments and starts saying his goodbyes to Mark. Mark tries to fly away, but oh my days, Thrag is literally a demon. He's chasing Mark. Look at the genuine fear in his eyes. They need to animate this panel well. And Thrag just beats the brakes off of him, and he was about to get impaled for the second time until Omni-Man took the hit for him. W father. And Thrag is about to finish them both off, but he stops himself because he knows that he needs these guys to join Viltrum, as Viltrum has already lost enough members. So the Viltrumites leave and the Coalition come out to save Mark and Omni-Man. So fast forward a little bit and Mark is awake again, and Alan lets him know that the Viltrumites are currently nowhere to be found since the Coalition haven't been able to locate them, which gets Mark Mark worried because it's most likely they've gone to Earth, and he was so worried that he flew straight there. But when he got there, everything was normal until Thrag just pulls up straight aura farming behind them, and he gives Mark and Omni-Man a proposition. He's basically like, listen, because you blew up our home, we're gonna live on yours. So either we fight right now, which is a fight you will definitely lose, or you let us live here and we won't cause any trouble for now. And of course, being backed into a corner, Mark chooses to let the Viltrumites live on Earth, bringing an end to the first Viltrumite war. And what a way to end the season. This is gonna be the best cliffhanger for sure. I can't wait to see this get animated for real. I hope you guys are as excited as me, but that's pretty much it for this video. In the meantime, be sure to check out my second channel, and the next video on here, I'm gonna be discussing some of my favorite fights in Invincible. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys next time.